Okay, so we are working on Unit 9.7 today. This is the last set of notes for Unit 9. Okay, and we're going to be working on classify, conics. Remember, conics are just all the different shapes that we learned. So parabola, circle, ellipse, and hyperbola. Come on. Classify conics and translate. Classify conics and translate. So, first kind of conic section that we learned was a parabola. Okay, how do you know if something is a parabola? What characteristics does it have? How do you know if an equation is going to be a parabola? It's if it has one square. Okay, what are the different parts that you can find in a parabola? Okay. Parabola, you can find the line of symmetry, and line of symmetry is always written as an x equals equation. What else can you find in a parabola?
That's hot.
The vertex. Okay, vertex is the other part that you can find of a parabola. Yes.
What is that word?
Translate.
Classify?
Conics.
Is this new?
No, this is not new. This is just reviewing what we've been doing. Okay. How many vertex are there in a parabola? There is just one. Okay, there's just one. So in a parabola, you know something is a parabola if there's one square, and you know that it has a line of symmetry and a vertex.
Is that an eye or a semicolon?
Okay, for number 2, it's just a spot. It's like bleeding through. It's just a spot. Okay. Number 2, the next one we learned was a circle. Okay, how do you know if something is a circle? Kind of equations. 2 squares.
Yes.
And how else do you know something is a circle?
Our question was on our test.
They have a plus in between. Okay, so there's 2 squares. They're both positive, and they have the same coefficient or denominator. Same coefficient or denominator. Okay, what are the different parts that you can find of a circle? What are the different parts you can find of a circle? Circles have no vertices. You can find the center and the radius. Right, center and radius. Okay, those are the different parts of circles that we will be asking you to find. Okay, the next shape that we learned was an ellipse. How do you know if something is an ellipse? It has 2 squares. Is it plus or minus in between the squares? Positive in the middle. And they have different coefficients or denominators. It's not both. They won't have both a coefficient and a denominator. It's going to be one or the other. Okay, what are the different parts that you can find of an ellipse? Find the center. You always start with finding the center. What else do we find? Vertices. How many vertices are there? There's going to be 2. And where are the vertices?
The longest.
They're at the ends of the major axis. Major is the longer axis. Ends of the major axis. And yes, the major axis is the longer axis. Okay, last one we learned was a hyperbola. Okay, how do you know if something is a hyperbola? That's mine. How do you know if something is a hyperbola? What are its characteristics? It has 2 squares. Subtract between them. And these can have the same or different coefficients. Or same or different coefficients or denominators. And what are the different parts that you can find of a hyperbola? We always find the circle, or the center. We always find the center. We can find the vertices. How many vertices are there? 2. And we can also find asymptotes. And remember, the asymptotes are just the guidelines. Okay, so this is what we're going over today. So we're kind of tying everything together from Unit 9, trying to remember what do each one, or what does each different shape look like, and making sure that you can recognize them. Okay, something to remember. Okay, this is kind of an FYI because a lot of people are going to mess this up on your test. Okay, the origin is always where? The origin is always at 0, 0. 0, 0 on a graph is always called the origin. So 0, 0 is always the origin. But what is different is that the center is not always at the origin. So your center is not always going to be at 0, 0. So remember, our center can be at a different place. Okay, a lot of people on that quiz that I gave back to you guys were counting only from 0, 0. That's not correct. Okay, you have to count from the center, not just from 0, 0. You all caught up? Okay, now we're going to work on translating. What is translating basically in math? Shifting. Okay, it's like shifting. Okay, if the function, it's going to say if the given function, and a function is just an equation, if the given function x squared over 16 plus y squared over 2 equals 1, if that function is shifted, or moved, is shifted right 5 units, write the translated equation. Rewrite the translated equation. So if I gave you that equation and I say I want to shift this whole thing 5 units to the right, I want you to write the new equation. So first of all, what kind of equation is this? What kind of shape is it? Is that a parabola, circle, ellipse, or hyperbola? Two squares plus in between different coefficients. So this is an ellipse to start with. Okay, so it's important that you even know what it is to start with. Then, what is the center of this ellipse? 0, 0, because there's nothing inside of the x and the y. So if I had an ellipse at 0, 0, and I move it 5 units to the right, okay, 5 units to the right, what is my new center? Is that 0, 5 or 5, 0? That's 5, 0. Okay, make sure that you're writing that correctly. And then I want to write this new equation with my new center. So you're still going to have something inside with an x. It's still going to be over 16. Nothing changes there. Plus the y part squared, still over 2, and it's still going to equal 1. So now all you have to do is just plug these in. So the 5 is going to go here. The 0 goes here. What do we have to remember to do when we plug things in? Do they keep the sign or change the sign? Change the sign anytime it's in parentheses. So that's going to become a minus 5. And this one is like a plus 0, so it really goes away. So if you rewrite this, it's x minus 5 squared over 16. Notice this 16 is not inside that square. Okay, the parentheses are just on the top. Plus y squared over 2 equals 1. That is your answer here. Right, because we have to change it. Okay, so since it was positive here, it changes sign when it comes out of the parentheses. Okay, it will change signs out of the parentheses. Okay, let's try another one. Number 2. Same idea. Okay, if the given function x squared plus y squared equals 16 is shifted up 4 units, write the translated equation. That's what I tried to tell you earlier. write the translated equation. So what kind of shape is this? This is a circle. Okay. Is it already written in standard form? Do circles have to be equal to 1, or can they equal a whole number? They can equal numbers, right? So you don't have to rewrite this. What is the center of this circle?
0, 0.
0, 0. Okay, so if you draw this, if we start at 0, 0, and I translate up 4 units, so you go up 1, 2, 3, 4. What is my new center going to be at? 0, 4. And then all you have to do is plug these in to this equation. So is anything going to go inside of parentheses with an x? No, it's still just going to say x squared. Plus, what goes inside of the y? -4 squared equals 16. That's your answer.
We don't have to lie.
Nope. You leave it just like that. You don't have to move anything over. Don't have to move anything over. Okay, try another one. Number 3 is the last one of this kind. Okay, the function. The function 2x squared minus 2y squared plus 12x plus 8y plus 2 equals 0 may be formed by shifting the function x squared minus y squared equals 4 in which way? So basically we're asking you, if I want to go from this equation to this equation, what do I have to do? How would it change? Okay, how does it move? So first thing I'm going to have to do is get both of these to be in standard form. So how do I get this one in standard form?
Move the 2 and put x's and y's together.
You want to put the x's and the y's together, right? So 2x squared plus 12x minus 2y squared plus 8y equals -2. Then standard form means we need to take out whatever's attached to the square. So take out a 2, left behind is x squared plus 6x. What do we take out from the y's? -2. Left behind is y squared, and then what? Minus 4y equals -2. If you want to complete the square, remember, take the middle number divided by 2 and square it. So 6 divided by 2 and square that. So in the parentheses, we add 9. Excuse me. In the parentheses, you add 9. What are you going to add to the opposite side of the equation?
18.
18, right. 2 times 9, so plus 18. Okay, what are we adding in for the y's?
4.
Take the middle number divided by 2 and square it. So we're going to add 4. What do you add to the opposite side? -8, right. -8. So if we rewrite this, we have 2 times what goes in your parentheses squared. X plus 3 minus 2 times what goes inside the parentheses with the y squared. Minus 2 equals 2 plus 18 minus 8. -2 plus 18 minus 8.
10, 9, 8.
8. Okay, how do I get that in standard form? Divide everything through by 8, because remember, what kind of shape am I dealing with here?
Circle.
No. This is an ellipse. You know it's an ellipse because it has a minus in between and there's 2 squares. So 2 squares, one of them is negative. You could tell that right from the beginning because one of them was negative. So this will leave you with x plus 3 squared over 4 minus y minus 2 squared over 4 equals 1. So basically we're asking, how do we get from this equation to this equation? So this one's in standard form now. How do I make this one in standard form?
You have to do that problem, don't you?
How do I get this into standard form? Divide by 4, right. So x squared over 4 minus y squared over 4 equals 1. So how do I get from here to there? You need to compare the centers. So what is the center of this equation? 0, 0. Okay, so if you start at 0, 0, what is the center of this equation? -3, +2. Remember, change both of them. So how do I get from here to -3 up 2? No, 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 no. Listen, to go from the middle, from 0, 0 to here. I move what? Left, how many? 3 left. And am I moving up or down to get from here to there? Up, how many?
2.
Up, 2. So 3 left, 2 up. Okay, last part is just going to be classify. So I'm going to ask you to classify the following, and there will be a lot of these on your test. So classify the following as a parabola, circle, ellipse, or hyperbola. Classify the following as a parabola, circle, ellipse, or hyperbola. So for number 4, I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you 5 different equations, and you're going to classify which one or what the different shapes are. Okay, I want you to write down all of them. So number 4 was x squared plus y equals 4.
I know that one.
Number 5 is x squared plus 4y squared equals 4. There's going to be a lot of 4s here. Number 6 is x squared minus 4y squared equals 4. Number 7, 4x squared plus 4y squared equals 4. And last one, number 8, I want you to classify 4x squared equals 4y squared plus 8y plus 32. So I want you to look at all 4 of those and try to figure out what kind of equation is that without putting them in standard form. So are we looking at circle, hyperbola, ellipse, or parabola for all of these? So for number 4, 1 square plus in between. That tells you it has to be a what? Parabola. Okay, parabolas are the only ones that have 1 square. Okay, how about 2 squares, different coefficients? What does that tell you?
Ellipse.
2 squares has to either be a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola, excuse me. Plus in between tells you that it's either a circle and an ellipse. And then look at if they're the same coefficient or different. Different tells you that this has to be an ellipse.
That was my first guess.
Okay, how about x squared minus 4y squared equals 4?
Hyperbola.
Minus means it has to be a hyperbola.
So if it's minus, it's a hyperbola minus.
If there's a minus, it has to be a hyperbola, right?
Okay.
Unless they're both negative, but you're not going to have to deal with that.
The next one is a circle.
Next one, plus 2 squares, same coefficient as a circle. The last one's a little bit tricky. Think about that.
I'm gonna say
No.
circle.
It appears like it might be a circle because there's 2 squares, same coefficient. But really, all of the x's and y's in these other equations have been on the same side, right? These ones aren't on the same side.
Oh,
So before you can classify something, it has to be on the same side. So to move it, you would have to subtract. You don't have to write this down, but you would have to subtract to move it over to equal just a number. So if you saw it that way, what would you say it is? A hyperbola, right? Because it has a negative in between. Homework for this objective is going to be worksheet 7. It is in your packet that you already have, and you're doing numbers 1 through 20. Just so you guys know, next week we are testing. Okay, you are taking a test on this next week. We're going to start it next week on block day. Okay, we will start on block day, finish on Friday. So on Monday, you're getting ready to take a quiz. Okay, you will take quiz number 3 on Monday. On Tuesday, we'll do our group quiz, and then we'll review a little bit on block day, and then take the first half of your test. Then you'll take the second half of your test on Friday.
How many more lessons do we need?
This is it. This is it. No, for Unit 9, this is our last lesson, yeah. Unit 9 is the last one.